begin the meeting with standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the March 7, 2025 meeting. These minutes were distributed to the commissioners in advance of today's meeting. Do any of the commissioners have any changes to the minutes? Okay. Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the sewage facilities planning module for 60 West Avenue. Here the applicant has prepared a sewage facilities planning module to be submitted to the PADEP. The applicant is proposing a 52-unit residential condominium development. As part of that, Component 4A must be completed by the Township Planning Commission prior to the module being submitted for adoption by resolution at a Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd ask Mr. Norsini, do you have anything to add to this?
No, sir. So everything's been checked on our end. It will go from you to the Board of Commissioners, and then the applicant will bring that to DEP. So we have no concerns.
Very good. Do any of the commissioners have anything to say on this? And is there any member of the public who wishes to be heard? Okay, with that, I would ask for a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. With that, I will execute the module and forward it to the township engineer. Next item on the agenda is consideration of application 213743 concerning 201 Spring Mill Road for development of two single-family dwellings on a vacant lot. This is a minor final subdivision plan. And as part of the consideration, we have received letters from Gannett Fleming dated April 29, 2025, and from Gilmore & Associates dated April 24, 25. Is there a representative for the applicant here?
Evening. Nick Canolia, representing the applicant. You have seen this plan previously, and actually, since the last time you saw it, we did go to the zoning hearing board. You may recall there was an issue regarding steep slope, both in that the sanitary sewer was going through the steep slope in the back. That was approved by the zoning hearing board. This board had recommended approval of the zoning hearing board. There was also steep slope on the side here, where I'm indicating right here. That was not recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. And before we went to the zoning hearing board, that request was removed. So there is no request and no need. The steep slope in that area will remain the same as it will not be disturbed. So the only relief on the steep slope was on the sanitary sewer going through the rear of the property. The building footprints you see here are conceptual. They're not the design as to what the buildings are going to look like or any architectural features. I believe Hoffman, I believe, is working on the design from an architectural standpoint. So really what we have here are the two-lot subdivision. I will go through the review letters if you wish, unless you want the engineer to comment more on the plan. As I said, I know you've seen it before. That's why I was going to go just to the review letters. The first request, the waiver request, was on the 500-foot requirement of having the features shown on the plan. There is an aerial on the plan that shows the existing features. There's one in the plan set. The other waiver being requested, curbs and sidewalks. There are no curbs and sidewalks on the street existing. We're asking for a waiver from that. The third waiver, and it's not really a waiver request, but remember the Board of Commissioners can request additional right-of-way if they so desire. Again, it's not really a waiver request, but they can request it if they desire. And the other waiver is the depth of the lot. The width and the depth of the lot shall not exceed 2.5. Actually, this does slightly exceed it, but it's very similar to other properties in the area along Spring Mill. This plan here shows several properties that actually exceed that requirement regarding 2.5 times width to the depth of the lot. The rest of the comments are, as from again a Fleming standpoint, or erosion and sedimentation control, and we can get into that if need be, but I believe that would be a requirement for any grading permit plan. As to the Gilmore letter, again, the 500 feet requirement, the waiver for curbs and sidewalks, the waiver for the depth. Variances were requested, as we mentioned, for the removal of the soil stockpile and the sanitary sewers. And I didn't mention that on opening. The other waiver, or the other request for zoning was removal of that soil stockpile. That this board also recommended for approval, this soil stockpile here was removed. And that was also granted by the zoning hearing board. There is another on the Gilmore letter. There is an item regarding the site distance. It does comply with the PennDOT standard for site distance. There's a request for a minimum waiver because I believe the code may require more than 200 feet. Is that what you mean? We comply, yeah, we comply with PennDOT on that requirement. And that's it for the review letters. So.
Okay. So I'd ask Mr. Drummond first to speak on the application.
We think they're in pretty good shape. The one thing we wanted to verify was the site distance out there.
Okay, and based on what the applicant just said, is that still an issue, or?
It sounds like they're going to meet it based on PennDOT standards, that should be acceptable.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Nelson, do you have?
I am literally sitting in Roger's seat, so I'm going to raise a Roger question. In the Gannett Fleming review letter under erosion and sediment control, number 1, it talks about a note on the plan, riparian buffer may exist on this site. Is there riparian buffers on this site, or is this just some general note that you've put on the plan in every plan?
Good evening. I'm Mike Rokosny from Site Engineering. That note was a carryover from a previous plan. If you look at this aerial, you can see the stream going through the rear of the property. It's greater than 50 feet off of the property.
Okay, so
that note
there's
has-
definitely no riparian buffers.
Yes, that
You're
note
gonna
has been removed from the
Take
plan.
that note off then?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Norsini?
Thank you, Mr. Vine. I did have a comment or question on the sidewalk. So Mr. Drummond brought up a good idea. So there's actually two things. The applicant can request the board to do a fee in lieu of, or as Mr. Drummond noted, we could ask them to, or require them to grade the lot for sidewalks, whether or not the sidewalk gets installed. Because I'm a proponent of sidewalks, so I'll just tell you now, I would love to see a sidewalk go in. At a minimum, they should grade for that, so that if the township does at some point do some sidewalk project, and there is none on the books right now, I just want to make sure that's clear, that we're not obtaining right-of-way and having to do considerable grading in that area. So I just wanted to bring that point up.
Yeah, Mike, why don't you come up and address? I think it may require retaining wall, Steve, but
That's why we would ask you to do the grading.
Yeah, so if you look at the grades along the front of the property, it's fairly steep. So grading that to be able to meet sidewalk requirements would require a retaining wall.
Okay, is that something you would be agreeable to?
Steve, do you know what the fee in lieu would be?
Good question, Mr. Cornelia. So, if you wish, yeah, so we would decide that at the board. I have to research that. I don't know if it's going to be based on current pricing or how that is. I don't know that we have a set standard for fee in lieu.
Are we able to request either or?
You, as the planning commission, can make any recommendation you wish, right?
That's the
Yeah,
answer I was
absolutely,
looking
yeah.
Is he okay with that?
for. Okay.
Well, it may require heritage tree removal also, but again, an either or would, I think, would be appropriate in this instance.
Okay. Do we have any other comments from commissioners? Okay. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Please. So please state your name and address.
Okay, will do. Hi, my name is Kristen Scott, and I live at 221 South Spring Mill Road, Villanova, where I've lived with my family for the past 10 years. Is it okay if I put a visual down?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably hard to see. Oh, thank you. Okay, so 201 is in the big circle, and then down, this is South Spring Mill Road here. So this is our property right here, and I'm just going to go through a couple concerns we have, and I'll sort of point out what we're talking about as we go. But first of all, I do want to thank you for the opportunity to share our concerns, and thank you to Mr. Norsini for always being accessible and responsive to our community's questions, in particular the neighborhood meeting he and his staff attended to discuss flooding problems and potential solutions with us and with Jim Riley, our ward commissioner. Thank you. So our primary concern is that increasing impervious surfaces at the top of the street at 201 will exacerbate the known flooding problems at the bottom of the street toward Conestoga Road. So again, toward there. This is a Zillow image, so I did cross out any of the property information. Directing runoff from 201 toward the stream, so in the back, will only increase the volume that eventually curves around to our properties. So you can see pretty clearly where the stream is behind them. It just comes around to the lowest lying properties. And then you can see right here where it actually goes under South Spring Mill Road. It goes under there, and that's not in great shape either. So there's already a lot of flooding down there. Directing the volume toward the street, so in the front, that has no sewer grates at all, will cause more flooding, especially where the stream flows under the road, which I just showed. The existing stormwater management of our neighborhood, of these roads, is already inadequate and insufficient for the 90 acres of stormwater that are already impacting us. And I believe that that came from Mr. Norsini in some of our meetings and conversations. Correct me if I'm wrong. If 2 more structures are built with no improvements to stormwater management, we fear the flooding will be even worse. Thank you for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any of the information that we've already shared with the township, either tonight or later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, if you want to address some of the stormwater.
So this project, we're going to be following the Township Stormwater Management Ordinance. So for each of these houses, we're proposing a stormwater bed for each of the developments. So what that ordinance is requiring is that we analyze the site from its existing condition and reduce the rate from the existing to the proposed condition. So in the post-construction condition, the runoff from this property will actually be less than what is currently happening now.
Okay. Mr. Norsini, do you have any follow-up on that?
No, so Mr. Ronkowski is correct, right? They're responsible to manage the new impervious that they produce, that gets built on the property, right? They're gonna have to do that. So I can't speak to how much it will reduce, but we do know that by doing this construction, everything that we see in the conceptual plan or that will be provided in a grading permit and building plans, they will have to manage. And to our residents, Stanton, we've had the discussion, we can't require them to manage the drainage area to that property, right, the 90 acres. We just have to make sure that they don't direct that somewhere else in a bad way.
Okay. Do you agree with the applicant that the plans as provided will improve the situation?
In general, development does improve stormwater management, right? Redevelopment of an area. So if there was an existing house on a property and the stormwater was not managed with that house and that was demolished and a new house went up, the new house, all the impervious for the new house is now managed. So that's the theory. Mm-hmm. And there was, if I remember, what was the existing condition prior to all this?
There was a previous grading permit. There was a pool that was removed and it was just an open area.
So I can't speak to that it will be better. I can speak to the fact that whatever is built will be managed, since there was not an existing home there. But whatever will be built will be managed. I don't know that I agree with it. It will be better.
Just as a follow-up, Mr. Norsini, actually, maybe this is a question for you. How many trees are you contemplating on removing? I know this is probably more for the Shade Tree Commission, but.
So we are removing 19 trees, and we're required to plant 26 trees.
Okay. Is there a thought that, by removing the 19 trees, which are, I would imagine, mostly mature, and building, and then adding water management, what impact does the removal of the 19 trees have on the runoff on the property?
I would assume it to be insignificant. If we're providing a stormwater management bed, that's going to be much more efficient in capturing and managing stormwater than trees.
Mr. Norsini, what are your thoughts regarding that?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat that?
So they're removing 19 trees. They're contemplating on building on the lot as well as adding water management. What impact, if any, does the removal of 19 trees have on what you just said as far as putting water management in?
So when they do their analysis on the existing conditions of the lot, right? So a wooded lot is great, but he had to segment that lot with partial trees and some not. So I'm not going to say it would be insignificant, but we have to look at things through the eyes of our ordinance, and I can't go outside of that. Our ordinance says if you remove trees, you have to plant X trees back. That's the shade tree ordinance. Our stormwater management ordinance says we're not looking at trees. That's a stormwater management ordinance. It says you have X square feet of impervious. You need to manage it. Now, we do reference the PADEP manual, BMP manual, where you can plant trees and that can count. You can do vegetated swales. But in the end, the stormwater ordinance, like we've talked about in the past, doesn't care about zoning, doesn't care about all these other things. It just says, if you do X, you must do Y. If you put in X thousand square feet of impervious, you must manage, according to our ordinance, that X thousand square feet. More trees is better, Commissioner. If that's what you're asking, more trees is better, for sure. And these are smaller trees. Someday they will become large, but we'd love to have trees. But our ordinance does not look at that, other than how Mr. Ronkowski analyzes the site as far as trees are concerned. And that's been reviewed by Gannett.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, question for you, Mr. Cornelia. The Gannett Fleming letter has additional comments on erosion and sedimentation control and stormwater management and general comments. Are all of those will complies?
They will comply, yes.
Okay, so the only issues out there would be the 500 feet, the sidewalks, and the depth not to exceed width by more than 2.5?
Correct.
Okay. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Any other commissioners have any comments?
Apologies if I missed it. The comment in the Gannett Fleming letter regarding the cartway width and the right-of-way, that's a will comply.
Well, it depends if the township requests it or not. The Board of Commissioners generally will say we want more right-of-way or we don't want more right-of-way. And that's why, as I said, it's not really a waiver request, it's more whether the commissioners request it or not.
Okay. Okay. I mean, just for what it's
Right.
worth, I guess, I would like to see some recommendation that includes language about sort of sidewalk grading or the contribution in lieu, and I would probably like to see something regarding the right-of-way in there as well, given the cartway difference that's noted.
See, I think, remember though, that cartway and the right-of-way is the same for the entire street. So if they did give it to them, it would be additional. I don't know what it would be
Disrupted and
for. Yeah, I don't know what it'd be really used for what purpose.
Okay. Yeah, I guess looking at it on a project-by-project basis, the language
Right.
is there for a reason so that we can chip away at this over time, but yeah.
Okay, with that, can I have a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion in the matter of 201 South Spring Mill Road, motion to approve with respect to compliance with the Gilmore and Associates letter of April 24th and the Gannett Fleming letter of April 29th, with also a condition to either pay a fee in lieu of for sidewalk or grading for future sidewalk. Can I get a second?
Let me just ask, that would also be with a waiver of section 255-22B1K for the 500 feet?
Yeah, granting
And-
the two waivers.
And section 255-34.E regarding the depth and width?
Correct.
Okay. Can I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ayes, 2 abstentions. The abstentions by Commissioners Dow and Kunda.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Steve Aaronhorst.
No,
Yes.
The second, yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, the second was, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, the next agenda item is consideration of application 214100 concerning 518 Askin Road for development of 2 single-family dwellings on a vacant lot. This is a minor final subdivision plan. As part of the consideration, we've received letters from Gannett Fleming dated April 29, 2025, and Gilmore and Associates dated March 28, 2025. And do we have Mr. Cornelia
Yes.
as the representative?
I do, yes. Thank you. I have Patrick Spellman here also from Set Engineering. This is a 2-lot subdivision. It's an existing lot on Askin Road. Askin Road, you probably know, is right over here, like a stone throw away. There's Askin Road's a private road, so Rockwell, Mr. Lingo has met with the neighbors several times, because one of the comments here is that you have some sort of maintenance agreement for the private road, since it is a private road. So we have drafted a maintenance agreement for that road. Part of that maintenance agreement is that when this development is done, that Rockwell will mill and pave Askin Road. As well, they will initially seed the funding for the maintenance agreement in the amount of $10,000. That has been presented to the neighbors. There's been, as I mentioned, several neighbors' meetings on this development. What we have here, looking at the review letters, at the Gannett Fleming, again, the 500 feet, we do have the aerial that shows the existing features within 500 feet. Currently, once again, there are no sidewalks on Askin or curb, so we probably have a similar situation as what we had with the last application. The applicant will comply with the infiltration requirements. I know that's one of the comments it looks like on the Gannett Fleming letter. That's a waiver.
That's a waiver from the township for the infiltration.
Well, yeah, that's not actually for this board. That's a waiver of infiltration that is not part of the saldo. That's something, and Mr. Nursini, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a separate application that would be granted by the Board of Commissioners, I believe.
So I'm sorry, if we're talking about,
Number, the infiltration volume requirements on the Gannett Fleming letter.
so for the infiltration, if, the way that works now with the new ordinance, you will meet with myself and Roger Phillips and work towards that, right? So it's not like it used to be where you went to the board. That's done administratively with us.
So
We're
the-
worse than the board, just I'm letting you know.
So, Mr. Norsini, is that something that should be part of our consideration or motion this evening?
No, really, I mean, in all reality, it comes up at the grading permit stage, right? When Patrick Spellman does his design, he's gonna say, here's my design because of this. And we're gonna question him and ask him to do X, Y, Z, understanding he can't infiltrate. So for instance, even though he can't infiltrate, we're still gonna wanna see some type of a stormwater management system that holds. So there may still be a large array of pipes and stone that don't infiltrate, but do retain the water and let it out at a specified rate. So we're still gonna make sure that occurs. We just have to work with the applicant on what can happen, what they can do in lieu of infiltration, right? We know we can get the storage, that's for sure. It's what happens from there, and that's when we look at the PA, DEP, BMP manual and things like that, or creativeness of the engineer, or ideas from Roger Phillips and myself. But it really, I don't think anything has to come from you. Their next step, it really doesn't come into play until they file a grading permit, because that's when the deep dive on stormwater management occurs, and that's when we're gonna see the infiltration rating does not meet the 0.5 inches per hour.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Again, referencing the Gannett Fleming letter, they mention about the subdivision of inadequate right-of-way. And Patrick, if you could address that, I believe the applicant is proposing some additional right-of-way here.
Correct. So, excuse me. So to provide the 30-foot half right-of-way on this property, we are proposing another 5 feet. Right now, the right-of-way is 50 feet. The ordinance says it should be 60, which means our half would be 30. So we're adding another 5 to the 25 to give us the 30-foot half right-of-way.
And the next comment talks about trees, if you could address that.
Yeah, so the lots were analyzed individually for the street tree requirement. Lot 1 requires 4, and we are proposing 4 trees.
Lot 2 also requires 4. There are 2 existing trees that we were asking credit for and are proposing 2 additional trees.
That's not a waiver, we're not requesting a waiver for that.
Not a waiver.
And then the last comment on the Gannett Fleming letter is regarding erosion and sedimentation control, and it looks like that is just a drafting comment that you will comply with.
Yeah, correct. See, this green circle here should have been on all the inlets. It's what it boils down to. The detail for what it is supposed to be is on the plan. Just that should have been repeated at the different inlets.
Okay, and then on the Gilmore letter, you know, it looks like 1 and 2 are just drafting comments. 3, the existing features within 500 feet. He references 27E1. The code provides when you build a private street that you can have no more than 5 lots on that private street. This is an existing private street that I believe currently has 9 lots. Since this is being subdivided, 1's being added, so it'd be a total of 10 lots on this. So again, it's already an existing non-conforming situation. We're not building a new private street, it's already existing. We mentioned, the Gilmore letter also mentions the right-of-way that's been discussed. And then he also mentions the contract guarantee requirements and the street trees. And I believe that is it.
Okay. Mr. Nelson, could I get you to comment at least on 3 items here? So it would be the right-of-way, the 5 lots, and then the homeowners association issue?
So with the right-of-way, the real question is like, Nick, do you have any idea who actually is the holder of this right-of-way?
As I've said before, I spoke to Mr. Norsini about this. The township has a right-of-way.
The list that lists
The
that
list,
50
yeah,
feet.
that's right, we talked about
Yes.
it. I sent it to you.
Yeah.
There's a list that indicates this road's a private road, but then that list also indicates that the township has a right-of-way on it. I don't know how,
And you have, other than that list, you have no other document?
I have no other documentation.
So as far as the right-of-way goes, you know, the township, this is a private road as far as we're concerned. So at this point in time, I don't think, we're not looking for additional right-of-way, because to be honest, we don't know who it goes to. Does it go to the township? Does it go to some other entity? Or is the right-of-way actually non-existent and this is just some typo? So I think looking for additional right-of-way, that's not something the township's concerned with. As far as the 5 lots, that's something that, the planning commission, the board's gonna have to, talk about and decide whether or not this is appropriate. Obviously, with what the builder, one of the problems with private roads is, are they properly maintained? I think this applicant is addressing that issue with their proposal, so long as the other 9 neighbors go along with it. And certainly, if they do put together, as far as the third issue, if they do put together a maintenance agreement that all the property owners sign on to, that certainly is a great improvement over what currently exists. And that, now that there is an agreement that if the road does fall into disrepair again and one of the, or a few of the neighbors want to get it done and the others are not acting on it, at least now they have a legal document to, kind of force the issue. So that, in my mind, that is, a major improvement over what we currently have right now.
Okay. And with regard to the waiver on the 5 lots, this is something that's already non-conforming? I think is there 9 currently?
I think there's 8 currently, and this will, well, I guess there's 8 houses with this lot, the 9th lot that's unimproved, and there'll be 10 houses if this development goes through. So yeah, it currently doesn't meet that requirement. It's not a nonconformity because that's a zoning term, not a, so you know, I think what you need to balance is, okay, obviously you don't grant this waiver, you know, this development goes out the window, but what they're offering here is, you know, they're offering to repair the road, which is definitely in need of repair, and they're proposing to put together a document that will hopefully help maintain the road for decades into the future. So I think it's a balancing act for, you know, this commission and the Board of Commissioners to decide, is the waiver worth granting when it's going to get us these benefits?
Okay, very good. Thank you. Do we have members of the public who wish to speak? Okay. Commissioners, any further comments?
Just some questions on the conversations with the neighbors. 255-27.E4 says the private street shall be owned and maintained by all abutting property owners, and a HOA or other legal entity approved by the Board of Commissioners shall be formed. The latest status on that is that there have been several meetings, that agreement's been proposed, but I guess where's that
There's a
heading?
draft that has been circulated with the neighbors, and I believe it probably was circulated, Greg, over the weekend, so it's been recent. But there is a draft. I'll actually give Peter, he can put it in, or give Mr. Nelson a draft of it, he can put it in the file that his office can review if need be.
Right. Thanks, Nick.
I guess, based on the recent conversations, were there any open items with the neighbors that weren't addressed in that draft, or does it sort of close those?
So the draft encapsulated everything that we discussed. There are two neighbors that still want to meet with me again to kind of talk through it, that haven't said, I'll definitely sign. The others have said they would sign it.
Okay. And would every neighbor need to sign it?
I don't know the
guess, or
answer
is
to
it
that.
a majority? Do we,
Yeah.
Everyone.
okay.
Because if someone doesn't sign it, then they're not beholden to it. And so
Right.
then whoever owns those lots can say, well, we're not doing anything for you.
Right.
So it really needs, you know, ideally, it needs everyone to sign it. If not everyone signs it, doesn't mean it's void, it just means it doesn't apply to whoever doesn't sign it.
So, Mr. Cornelia, with regard to the application, you would be seeking waivers of the 500 feet, the sidewalk in some fashion, the 5 lots. Is it just those 3?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not dealing with the homeowners association issue.
No, that's not a waiver requirement,
Okay,
but again, we want it, and
yes,
certainly the
understood.
vast majority of the neighbors.
And if they get this agreement and it's signed by everyone on the street, they address that issue.
Yes. Okay. Any other commissioner comment, question?
So in conjunction, well, I'll start with that, with the HOA. So if this HOA is not approved, or if some number of neighbors do not sign it, which I'm led to believe is currently the case, then what does that mean to the repaving of the street and the $10,000? Does that go out the, is that a?
I'm sure Mr. Ling, well, go ahead, you address it, Greg.
We would still be open to milling and repaving the street. As far as $10,000, I don't know where that would go. So we probably wouldn't.
Yeah, we would have to do something with those neighbors. If 1 or 2 neighbors decide not to sign it, I think then the decision has to be made, not so much by Mr. Lingo, but by everybody else. Are we still going to enter in this agreement? And are we going to whack it up 1/8 instead of 1/10 or whatever it's going to be?
And,
Go ahead.
And then, based on a development that was done directly, I want to say north, but it's probably not north, uphill of this projected project in the recent past, and the stormwater that was created by that, the first question, I saw, there's a wooded lot. How many trees are you taking down, and how are they getting replaced? It's part of the lot is wooded, I guess I should phrase that.
Yeah, so this is the entire lot. this side being Lot 1, there would be 5 trees taken out in the general area of the house. This lot being Lot 2, and there's some more trees, all these X's. Let me find my tree replacement calculations. So on Lot 2, we would have a total of 26 trees, but they're all fairly small. There's nothing over 18 inches. This area has a lot of undergrowth and trees that would be removed. And then we would be replacing it with the required shade tree, 26 trees on this lot, 5 on this one. Oh, I'm sorry, there was a larger tree on this one, so I think we actually have to replace 12 on this one.
12 on the 5 lot. You're saying 12 on the 5 lot?
Right, so on Lot 1, where we're taking out the 5 trees, I'm sorry, again, 7 trees,
Okay.
we'll be putting in 12, 4 of them being canopy trees. On Lot 2, where we're taking out 26, we'll be replacing 26 trees.
Okay. And then that in conjunction with stormwater, I know Mr. Norsini talked earlier that the stormwater and the tree requirements are kind of separate. Yep. But based on the current conditions of the stormwater on that street, I would just ask that this be considered as you move forward with the potential development of these 2 lots.
Right. So yeah. So how that gets accounted for is by selecting the pre-existing ground cover condition. So the trees get included in that number. So your runoff number from this property is lower than if it was impervious or grass. So that's how you account for the cover, for the fact that it's trees. And we would be going to pre-existing. Would be going lower than pre-existing conditions in the post condition. So what's running off this site after we've done building should be less than what is there now with trees. It's the way the calculations work it out.
Mr. Spellman, I do have a question. So some of the folks there have come to us regarding a runoff from above that affects their property. And if you look at the plans, it seems like the grades go, page left to lower page right.
Right.
So the concern will be, we understand you're going to manage the new impervious of your lot, but what can we tell the neighbors next door about that runoff after these homes are built, right? You're managing your stormwater, but we can't direct more water towards them.
Right. So what we're doing is basically these areas we are picking up in inlets and directing them to our beds. A rain garden detention bed on Lot 1, an infiltration detention bed on Lot 2. And then these get directly piped to the stormwater manhole that is on Askin right here. So what we're basically doing is this entire area is being removed from the runoff scheme. We're not doing much with what's coming this way, but at least we're taking out this swath of area and getting it basically right to the stormwater sewer, not crossing any adjacent properties.
So then what is page north, which ran towards them, will still continue to do so. You're not changing that. But what happens page south is where you will be taking care of that new impervious.
Correct.
Thank you. One last question for you while I have you, if that's okay, Commissioner. Where you're widening the road, we know that the Askin Road has varying widths. I think it's 14 to 19 feet. Is the road widening occurring where it is at its narrowest, or is it just to accommodate the homes?
No, it's where it's at its narrowest. So right here, I can't quite pick it out with my old eyes, but we're adding 4 feet right here, and I believe it was on the order of 12 feet, and that's the narrowest point right there. And so we're going to be adding this here. I don't know if you can see it. This line is the existing partway, and here we're widening it out around that bend to give it a bit more room.
So actually, we're widening the road. I guess to answer the question, it doesn't have to be right-of-way, because that seems to be the concern, but we are widening the road in that area.
Right, so if Mr. Lingo is going to go through all this, obviously, for the sake of the residents, we want to see the road have somewhat more consistent cartway width.
Correct. It will not be dedicated to the township or anyone else. It will
No,
just be-
they're doing it where I guess the easiest thing to say is they're doing it where it was narrowest,
Yes.
right, is where you're widening it.
Okay.
Does the entire Askin Road right now have storm sewer inlets? Or is it just the one?
Yeah, no, there are not. The stormwater main comes actually from behind lot number 1, down the adjoiner, hits a manhole here in Askin and goes off this way. This side here doesn't have it. So we're basically taking this whole area, which is currently not going, there is an inlet here, but it's not picking up much of the area. Basically taking all this area and getting it right to that stormwater.
So you're going to take the manhole out and put an inlet in?
No, the manhole's going to stay. We're going to be adding inlets on the property and then piping the discharge from the beds directly to the manhole. All to be finalized with the grading permits, and whatever Mr. Narsini asks us to do at that point is what we'll wind up doing.
Okay, one more. And Mr. Narsini, I might need your input. I don't know how much you might have. But in regards to that manhole, the other thing that I've heard from the neighbors is, and this looks like you're going to direct more in that direction. I'm led to believe that manhole already blows its lid in heavy storms, and this sounds like this is going to only make that situation worse.
So I'm
Rather
not
than
aware
better?
about the one, but I'm going to let Mr. Spellman address it from
Right.
from what's happening from his property first.
Right. I didn't know about that, but in the end, we are reducing the amount of stormwater coming off this limited disturbance area, the disturbed area. So in the end, the amount of water that flows off of here, both rate and volume, is being reduced. So that can only help a downstream situation.
I interpreted that you were saying you were directing it all to that little triangle that you pointed at the bottom right, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're reducing by running this area through these beds. We wind up doing two things: reducing the volume infiltration, and we also wind up reducing the peak, which is what really kicks in for flooding. And then all this does get piped down here to this manhole, but it's at a reduced rate than what's coming off the property now. Yeah.
Okay. Any other,
Just one more question, sorry.
please?
Two more.
I think maybe a month or two ago, we saw the same owner for a subdivision on Aberdeen Avenue that is adjacent to this project. Can you just speak to how the sort of stormwater considerations of the two projects have been kind of taken into account together, or?
Okay. Yeah, so this property is being subdivided under a separate application. It is a separate parcel. And there is a proposed single-family home will be going where the tennis court is. So that will then provide stormwater for all the impervious that's being added, getting no credit for the tennis court. So in effect, it's as if this is a wooded lot, not a lot with a tennis court, and we'll be reducing the volume from the proposed house to those wooded lot numbers. So that would, in the same manner of what I was talking about, reducing the flow from the properties down here, that will reduce the amount of flow that is coming from this sector of that project.
Just to follow up here on the Gilmore letter, page 2. To clarify, the letter recommends providing curbing along Askin Road, and you will comply on that as well?
Correct.
Okay. With the request to the waiver on the sidewalk, are you able to grade the property
Yeah.
as per recommendation?
Yeah, I was thinking about that over when you were talking about the last project. It is pretty much flat bench along the curb, and we would maintain that. What I should do is take these street trees, maybe push them back a bit more, give a bit more walking room between the cartway edge and the trees, so that bench becomes more accessible to a pedestrian. We can do that easily.
Alternatively, Mr. Keneally, are you going to ask for a fee in lieu?
Yeah, either one, yeah. I think the either or is probably appropriate in this instance as well,
Okay.
if possible.
I would concur with that.
Let me just ask, if this is something you can easily grade for and move the tree back, is that something you can just do?
To put the sidewalks in?
Not to put them
Not
in?
put- just to grade
Just
for
to
future.
grade and what you said, just to move.
I will do that when I revise these plans, I will do that.
Okay, and when you do that, is that sufficient to qualify for grading?
I think, the reason why I would support an either-or solution is for just aesthetics of the neighborhood. If the trees are sort of out of place, if they're set back, or vice versa. That's my only consideration.
Yeah.
Okay. Do any other commissioners want to weigh in on grading versus fee in lieu of?
I'd support either or, I think. If
Okay.
the fee in lieu went towards putting sidewalks in somewhere that's more consistent with neighboring properties, it might be better
Okay,
for the township.
very good. Mr. Drummond, did you have anything to add?
I do not.
Very good. Okay. With that, I'll make this motion. So it's a motion to approve application 214100 for final land development concerning 518 Askin Road. And this would be with, will comply on the Gannett, Fleming, and Gilmore letters, with the exception of the following three items. One is waiver of section 255-22.B1K regarding the 500 feet. The second is section 255-27.E1 regarding the 5 lots. And the third is section 255-27.C1 regarding sidewalks. And with regard to that item, the applicant would either pay a fee in lieu of or make the properties graded for sidewalk, not for the installation of a sidewalk. Okay, with that, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dow. All in favor? So that is 7 ayes with 1 abstention by Commissioner Kunda.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks. The next item that's on the agenda is consideration of application 212752. This concerned final land development at the Eastern University. This item has been removed from tonight's agenda. Therefore, the final item is consideration of application 212981 for final land, for final land development for Ithan Elementary. As part of the consideration, we've received letters from Gannett Fleming dated April 29, 2025, and from Gilmore & Associates dated May 1, 2025. Do we have a representative for the applicant?
I'm sorry, Lane. Can we go back to Eastern? They are tabling, correct?
That
I-
is,
I-
my
No,
understanding, they were removed from the agenda.
I think they voluntarily removed themselves.
Okay.
So the planning commission didn't table them, they've asked to be pulled.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Falcone is coming in, I think, now.
Okay.
So I'm Hugh Cazzo from the LA Group, and Michelle Maslon is with our company as well as traffic engineer. So
It's good to see you all. I know you're not thrilled to see us right now, but we are back here for a recommendation for final approval as we move forward with the Ithan Elementary project. Y'all are very familiar with it. We're down to primarily traffic issues in our most recent response. We've gotten review letters. I'm just going to let the Planning Commission know, and then I'm going to turn it over to our traffic engineer. But we did have a call and a meeting, thankfully, with your staff. They've been great to this point on Friday. And as a result of that meeting, our traffic engineer has prepared a response and submitted that response today. So it's been reviewed by no one. But what will happen is we are going to put that response up and show in each instance where we've responded to Damon's comments. We felt like that's probably the only way we can get ahead of maybe some of your comments in response to the length of that letter. But all of those items we believe have been addressed. We hope they've been addressed. And Michelle will walk through each of them, turn pages, pull up her submission, and at least show you and show Damon and Mr. Mersini as well what we've done. And then after that, we will be we'll be ready to respond.
So I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. You were here for preliminary, and we had a discussion with you and with your folks that when you come back on final, that it was, going to be clean. And I thought we had assurances that that was going to happen.
I absolutely hear you.
So,
Mr. Mons.
what does that mean? It means a couple of things. It means that none of us or anyone else has had the opportunity to digest or see what it is that you're even responding to. So to do it on the fly like that, not really fair, is not, the right way to do it.
Well, I think the only we could sit here and say to you, we got the letter from your traffic consultant and we've responded, and not show you those responses, and you'd be pretty much in the same exact position you're in now. Or we can show you the responses and you've had no chance to review. So you're either
Alternate option C, you could have sent that review letter back a week ago.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, so I'm here.
No,
That's
absolutely,
correct.
but you didn't.
No,
right.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
right.
Nothing that you all are saying is not resonating with me. We should have done a better job. We should have gotten our plans clean. We should have had them in sooner. We should have made it easier on your consultants. All of the things that you are thinking and feeling, we are also thinking and feeling. Those things didn't happen. I can't give you an excuse for that. I can tell you I'm sorry that we didn't do a better job, but that means nothing. It doesn't make your life any easier. It doesn't make our path any easier. It simply is the truth of the matter. So all I can say is we're here tonight. We have your review letters. We were thankfully, your consultant made time on a Friday afternoon to walk through a review letter with us and say, here's where you were wrong. I don't know many consultants that would do that to help us be better on this project. So we're fortunate for that. It gives us at least an opportunity now to get to them a letter that allows at least them to have some response before we're scheduled to be in front of the Board of Commissioners. That's all I can say. It's not fair to you. I don't think it is. I'm not trying to make it seem as if we've done some great thing to make your life easier. That's not what I'm suggesting.
Mr. Falcone, we understand your position, and I think you have to, in your role, you have to advocate for your client. However, I think there's one element here that we're leaving out. It's not fair for our consultant to litigate back and forth on your response tonight.
Agreed.
I think our consultant needs time to process. And to be fair, I think we really paved the way for you to make a great presentation for us. And maybe, I don't feel like you're entitled to a vote this evening. And my sense is that you're not going to get what you need tonight.
Understood.
So my personal recommendation, I don't speak for this board, is that you table, allow our consultant the opportunity to review your response. With every consultant review letter, there's always that paragraph that says additional comments will be made, based on your resubmission. I believe Mr. Drummond deserves that opportunity to do a thorough analysis of your work and also respond, and perhaps there'll be other items that you need to address.
I don't disagree with the fact that we have not been fair to the consultant team. I think that's absolutely a fair statement.
No, you've been fair to the consultant team. I just think that it would not be fair if we litigate this in the public eye right now.
Right, so I guess I'm saying giving a letter today before a meeting is not fair to the consultant team to say, we've submitted something before the meeting, here it is. I agree with everything you're saying. And we also are aware that the Planning Commission may vote to not recommend this project moving forward. We are not going to ask to be tabled. We are going to forge ahead. We are set to appear in front of the Board of Commissioners, and we are prepared to explain where we are tonight to you all, or we can not. I don't know what else I can say to you all. That's the position we have right now, and ultimately it's your discretion. This is your board. This is your
Okay.
time.
So I'd like to kick it off with allowing other commissioners to jump in and speak.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a suggestion?
You could.
So we understand the school district is under a very severe timeline to be able to build and have the school open at the appropriate time. And nobody is more frustrated than myself with the process that we've had regarding the traffic responses. I mean, Mr. Drummond has gone over and above, has met with folks several times, and yes, these letters should have been cleaned up months ago. But my request would be, if I'm correct and the school district can answer this, you need to go to caucus and final to keep on your schedule. Is that correct? If this gets tabled, what does that do to you?
It, in all likelihood, pushes us off a full year.
Okay,
That's, honestly, that's really beginning to be hard to believe, because if it were that important, this would have been done, just like it would have been done at preliminary.
I agree.
And I can't just keep going on this idea like, putting a gun to our head like that.
So,
And we are not
no, my
trying to put a
request
gun
would be
to
it
anyone's
goes to a
head.
vote, right? And they will speak, Mr. Drummond obviously, he got this review letter at 4:08. I got it from Damon at, 7:30. So we have nothing to say on that, but they will have time. Maybe we've turned a corner, because it looks like somebody worked over the weekend to get this letter to where it is. They have until we go to caucus to get this cleaned up, and that gives Mr. Drummond some time. But I would ask for the school district's assurance that by caucus, this letter is clean.
So, and we've given lots of assurances to this point, and the attempt we are making is to satisfy these comments. We aren't doing a great job at sticking to that. We will continue to try and encourage the team to work harder to get the things right. But we've made the assurances to you all. We've made the assurances to you all that we're gonna get it right. And instead of moving by chunks, we're moving by inches. But I do think we are moving. And I mean, just for clarity, the question was put on, if we don't get approval, what's the reality? That's the reality. It's not a gun to your head. If we miss the deadline, we miss the deadline. And it's clearly on us. It's not on this board. It's not on the Board of Commissioners. It's certainly not on staff or the township. It's just what it is. I wish I had a different answer for you. I can only give you the information I know. And I'm not suggesting in any way that any of you all have done anything to delay this process. It is not on you. It is on us.
I agree. Can we hear from other commissioners?
Yes. I was a great supporter of your position the last meeting. I have to tell you, I'm disappointed that we're at this spot. I think there's a moment in time when you maybe have gone too far, and you're probably at the gone too far spot. And I'm disappointed because, I want this to happen. I want it not to cost a lot of money. But I think we're an advisory board. we can take a position. It will not be fatal to you if the commissioners feel differently. So your job next would be to do a great dance between now and then.
I understand.
I'm leaning towards a table.
I understand.
But at the same time, a table by our board would mean that you would have to come back. Meanwhile, a vote of any variety, whether it's a yay or a nay, would send you directly where you need to be, which is in front of the BOC, which is your ultimate destination.
That's correct.
I mean, that's ultimately what you're looking for. So just to paraphrase, or to take this to the next level, a no vote would still allow you to proceed.
It would. It would allow us to proceed by the letter of the law.
Yet a table would not.
If the planning commission elected a table, and I'll defer to your solicitor here, our obligation is to appear in front of the planning commission. If they elect not to take an action, that we can still move forward to the Board of Commissioners and say the planning commission refused to take action on our plan.
Yeah, you can always request to go in front of the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners can say, well, we're not going to act on it until the Planning Commission do it.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct. Obviously, that's not where we want to be. A couple of things we don't want to happen. One of which I can feel is on its way. We don't want a negative recommendation from the Planning Commission. That's not why we've been back. The goal was, of course, Commissioner, to obtain a positive recommendation. Getting a table recommendation and then proceeding forward again is not ideal. I think that runs very parallel to getting the no recommendation. It's a vote of no confidence from this Planning Commission on our project, and that's not where we want to be. It's not where we hope to be.
Well, back up a second.
Yeah.
I think a no vote wouldn't be a view on your project. It'd be a view on, the application where it stands based on what's been submitted. And that's, I think everyone is in support of the project. It's just the process has not been there.
It's been bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not standing here
And
disagreeing with anything you're saying.
Yeah. Now, I will say from what I, was just listening to, it is a little concerning, apart from whether you could jump over a table, from a vote to table from us and just go to the BOC anyway. Would that take a recommendation that we refuse to act, which, maybe that wouldn't be, good or accurate from our view. So I just keep that in mind. Commissioner Kim, do you want to?
Yeah, I work in development, and I've always said all along, this is a great project. It's a very complicated project. And your performance now, if it's an indication of moving forward, I think we're going to be in for many, many years of frustration because there's so many things to get approval for and permits and coordination that needs to be done. You're building a school with a functioning school. That's a project within a project. I would highly recommend that you just do the right thing and table this instead of forcing us to turn you down. I feel like that's somewhat disrespectful.
So I would feel differently about our position if the open items were in the civil engineering side of this project. What we are talking about now is, to boil this down, our inability to calculate how many cars are going to come off of this site and what those impacts are going to be on intersections that are off of our property. We're boiling it down to our ability to create a list of potential traffic mitigation improvements that will come down the road. If this letter was, you can't figure out how to control stormwater or how to get your slope impacts correct, or you can't get your tree planting or the structural capacity of your building is off, that would give me significant concern as an advocate for this project from a safety perspective and a functionality perspective. So I completely agree with you, Commissioner. But what is open here is, I mean, just to put it and I will consider myself a layman in the traffic world, an inability to count cars correctly and move that data into a format that is reflective of improvements to a road that are off-site. And this ordinance is actually an ordinance that favors an applicant. Because what the applicant has to do is take that data and give the township a list of improvements. We don't have to do them. We just have to give an idea of what could happen and then leave it to the township to decide what they want to do. So we are in the stage of, can we count and tabulate correctly? So I don't think this is reflective of the school district's ability to build this project in a safe and efficient way. I think that is in good position. I think where we are falling short is in our ability to help your traffic engineer understand what impacts may be well down the line when this building is built out to a capacity which won't happen for years and years and years. And so I respectfully disagree with kind of the statement that the project is flawed. I think this one particular aspect of the project is flawed right now, but I don't believe it is reflective of our ability to build the project safely for the students, respectfully.
I don't think that's what we were saying.
I'm not saying the project is flawed. I'm actually agreeing with you. This is a minor thing, but you couldn't do it. There are many more minor things that are going to come up in this project. So I'm losing confidence that this team can actually pull this off. You're going to dig. You're going to find stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Based on your analysis, Mr. Falcone, what you're saying, you're saying we can't count cars, but you should trust us to calculate a structural load.
That's right.
And I've got a big problem with that.
So what I'm saying, though, is it's a different team. It's a different team.
Are you on that team?
I'm on the team. I am, and that's why I'm in front of you. So I'm the quarterback
Are you
of the
also on
team.
the car counting team?
I'm not on. I don't count cars. I talk with you all, and I represent.
Apparently, no one does.
Yeah. And I represent my client. So I know, but I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's here talking to you every month, and I'm the guy that's asking you to trust my team. And I'm telling you that that we've fallen down on a couple of points. But it ultimately comes to me, and I'm the guy that you guys have to listen to and trust.
I think if this was any other applicant, you would expect us to apply the same standard.
I would.
And you're just not reaching it.
I would.
At the same time, and I struggle as a commissioner because the applicant is the school district. And I ultimately am the customer of that school district. So the struggle is, how do we work with you while upholding our code and look at this project in a way as to not to imperil it? And I'm forced to come to only one conclusion, that number one, you're not ready, and number two, the best way I can help you is by voting no and sending you on your way to the BOC. And hope that at the time you appear in front of the BOC, you will be ready. Because if you're not, if your submission is in the state that it's in today, you're not going to get the approval, and then you're going to be imperiled by another year.
I think everything you've said is correct.
Can we sort of clarify, I guess, what's happened in the last 2 months a little bit on this open point? And I made the motion at the last meeting, so I feel kind of especially burned a little bit on some of this. But we met on March 3rd, right? The traffic study was outstanding. It looks like that traffic study was submitted again on someday soon after in March, I guess. Was that then reviewed further, and then another revision was submitted April 22nd, and then these comments are available now that you've met on Friday? Or?
So we did resubmit, following our last meeting, That plan was reviewed by Mr. Drummond. Then we scheduled a meeting to walk through that review. And following that meeting, cleanups were made and another submission was made today in response to that meeting on Friday. And ultimately, the letter that we received, the date of that letter was 4/29, that's Gannett.
Last.
5/1, that's right. So that's the process to this point.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to agree with some of the fellow commissioners. It feels like two competing sort of sentiments, but we kind of allowed for one of them to accommodate last time, 2 months ago. Yeah, I mean, we're here. You've said you're not looking to table. I'd vote no and let the board decide what they want to do based on the latest information at the time.
Yeah. Now, you all have been very accommodating. There's no doubt about that.
Other commissioner comment? Commissioner Varenhorst, do you have any?
If I could give Mr. Drummond, can you clarify what it is you're looking for, or what it is the township is looking for?
Sure, there's still some open items in the report that we still need to get cleaned up. A lot of it's a lot more cleanup stuff, trying to verify that there's no mitigation needed, but we need to get their numbers completely straight and get that cleaned up.
What, or can you clarify what the open item are, or is, or is it multiple open items, or?
There are multiple items still open regarding a level of service. There's like a level of service drop at one intersection. We don't think that's an issue. We think that was a mistake that was in the report. Queues seem to be okay. Give me 1 second.
I mean,
Regarding timings at some of the intersections, we're trying to clarify what the timings need to be. So there's items of that, some technical items that are still open.
So this is not about the development itself. This is about everything off-site?
It is about the development. What's the impact on these other intersections due to the development? Regarding their site trips and if they're going to cause any issues at these other intersections.
So what you're looking for technical data from the design team?
Yes, we're looking to make sure that the intersections are timed right. We have the right number of approaches on each intersection, which I think that's been clarified now. We're looking at some of the volumes that look like they were incorrect in the report to be revised and put in correctly so we can verify the analysis is complete and there's no issues.
I have a hard time, punishing the whole project for this technical requirement. And I know it's important. It's off-site. It's information that even if I get it, I'm not sure what to make of it because it's a very specialized field, and we're relying on you to pass judgment or analyze the information provided by this team. I'm annoyed because we had this conversation about 2 months ago, I think, and I'm the one who's said, let's keep this project moving. I kind of feel the same way today. I think we should keep it moving, but and I'm just puzzled as to why it couldn't have been reviewed sooner. But I gather that's the result of their team not providing you the proper information. Is that?
That's accurate.
Is that accurate? So even if you get the proper information, which is coming when?
We just received a revised report today, this afternoon, that we will be reviewing immediately.
Okay.
We still don't know if it's the proper. It's just information. We still don't know if it's the proper information. It's just.
Well, I think that was, your initial intent was to go through that letter and talk about how today's revised submission addresses those comments, right?
It was.
So I think at a minimum, we can listen to that description. I would be open to that, just to put it on the record at least. And even if we vote in a way that differs from what you hoped for, at least it's there and out for awareness in advance of the next Board of Commissioners meeting. So, I mean, in my view, you can run through that list and tell us what's been done in response, and we'll be better informed then for whatever vote we do discuss.
And that was the hope, but we want to be respectful of your time. I mean,
Yeah, at that point, Mr. Drummond doesn't have the opportunity to be able to digest it, and neither do we.
it's only, it would be for information purposes only. That's all it would be. It would be, so you could see it, anybody watching on television could see it. That's all it would be. We would not be looking for feedback. Oh, that looks great, that looks great, that looks to do it. It would be more, here's what we've done. So,
My only question on that is if Mr. Drummond feels it would be of assistance to hear that, or he'd just prefer to review the submission.
I think it maybe is beneficial to just review the submission and look at the technical data there, instead of, it's a lot of technical stuff that's in our review letter. I don't know if it's worth going through everything with this board right now.
Yeah, part of it is
Totally
we
deferential.
rely on our consultants, and Mr. Drummond is the expert in this. And, without his analysis and feedback, it's,
I
not
understand.
sure what use it's going to be.
I understand.
Do other commissioners want to comment still?
Yeah, I concur with that, Mr. Chairman. I think it would be not good use of time for the commission at this moment.
Okay, and there is no one from the public here to speak? Okay. Does anyone want to make? Yes,
I
sir.
do have, I'm another I have complete faith that Mr. Drummond and the engineering team is not gonna let this go through until they get the proper information. And I don't necessarily feel like you would hold up the entire rest of the project on that basis. And because that's the process anyway. I mean, we don't have a say on the technical data anyway. So,
We also don't have a say on holding up the project. So we're advisory, and we'll
Understood.
make, a recommendation. The applicant, I believe, is it 2 weeks before they go to the BOC?
So they can't make the 12th. The best possibly they could do is the 19th for caucus. I don't know that they can turn this around in that. I mean, the goal would be to get them to caucus, because caucus is for them to explain the plan. There's no vote. So that gives them a little bit of leeway. Again, Mr. Drummond has been turning this stuff around like this. So I would just hope that they could, in the next week, because that's really the time they have, is a week to get on the next agenda, get that cleaned up. Because really the Saldo letters, not much to it. It's the waivers. Everything lies with the traffic. And I know we've been talking about in the future, but this is the ordinance, and this is what they're supposed to do. And this is so our Board of Commissioners can see what may or may not have to be done to a sizable intersection in the township, Bryn Avenue and Sproul, Clyde and Sproul, Clyde and Ithan. So yes, it may seem a little nebulous, but they need to comply. Like I say, my recommendation to the board, for what it's worth, is to vote. Whether your vote is for denial or for approval, they can still move on and hopefully get their act together by the time they get, and for lack of a better term, get their act together by the time we go to the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, with that, can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion. In the matter of Ithan Elementary School, I'd like to recommend denial.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So. 4 to 3. 4 to 3 in favor.
4 to 3 or 5 to 3? If you join their traffic team.
Okay, so it's 5 to 3. The motion passes. This is a motion to recommend no. Denial.
Who are the three no's?
The 3 no's.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck. Please proceed with, I would say expeditiously, and do what you need to do, and good luck at the BOC.
Yep. I apologize, we could not have been here with more information for you guys, but thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.